Let's say China. 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 China.
Yeah, in case anyone is wondering what I'll be talking about for the next 20 minutes, it will be about China. So China is a big country and a big subject. So in order to cover this in 20 minutes, I can only talk about it from a 30,000 feet view, very macro, give you a few slight flavor of what's happening behind the scenes. Mainly, I'll be talking about the competition and opportunities for a Western game studio, the Apple and Android App Store ecosystem, the Chinese publication number regulation, which came out last year, July 1st, had how it affects publishing in China. And if we have some time left, we will talk a bit about the Chinese game company culture, see if there's any difference between your company and a Chinese game company. A bit about myself. My name's Owen. I am responsible for game sourcing and studio relationship at MyGamez. So we are a Chinese game publisher, actually sort of a mixed baby. One founder is Finnish, one founder is Chinese, so we are based in Shanghai, Helsinki, and we also have an office in Pori. We are working with guys like Fingersoft, Flag Games, Zaptolab, Halfbreak, Playrix, bringing their games to the China Android market. And we have published games like the Hill Climb Racing series, Nonstop Night, Cut the Rope Magic, until now, in 3 to 4 years, we have about 270 million downloads. All right. So, the first thing everyone thinks about in China is it's the biggest mobile market, depending on which report you are looking into. This one I just pulled from Newzoo. It says 570 million gamers, 28 billion in game revenue, #1 market in the world. The undisputed thing is it's #1 since for like 2 to 3 or 4 or 5 years. And everyone is thinking about this. How do I get a piece of that pie? Not sure what is the audience mix. Some of you might have deals with Chinese publishers. You might be Scrooge, swimming in money. Or you might be Donald in the background, looking at others swimming in the money. But what could also happen if you get into a bad deal in China is you could hurt yourself and hurt your brand in the long term. So the first thing I want to talk about is that it's a hyper-competitive market. I didn't coordinate this with Toruf just now. It seems like it's the same slide. I just we pulled this from probably the App Annie top 100. Okay. We probably have the same different dates. So I have Summoner's War here compared to NBA from DNA. So Hearthstone, Clash Royale, Clash of Clans, Gardenscape, Township, Summoner's War. This is basically the top 100 grossing games that are non-Chinese in China. So it seems like a pretty bleak picture, but if you sort of dig a bit deeper, when I say dig a bit deeper, just filter by genre, and you could see that's a slight different story. So on the more competitive side, you have the RPG, card games, strategy games, action games, and these top 100 by genre are dominated by the Chinese game companies. Something like RPG game only have 2 non-Chinese games. But on the other hand, on the casual side of things, you have racing games that have 70% of Western games that are represented in the top 100 grossing of racing games. Puzzle, simulation, adventure, they're quite well represented in the top grossing. There are many things or angles to think about this. You could say that there's just way more money in the RPG strategy action game. Hence, it's more competitive. There are more players in the market from China. Or you could say in the casual games that Western games are just more innovative. It's just more fun. And hence, the players recognize quality casual games, and they like to play those. Or you could say you need really good local live ops and local UA to make RPG strategy game work in China. But the point is that casual games has opportunity for Western games. And this is only just data I pulled from App Annie. So here is a report I pulled from China Mobile. So China Mobile prints out a monthly report. And a bit of a background here. So China Mobile is the largest telco in China. They represent about 60–70% of the market. And this is relevant because in China, for the casual game market still primarily uses carrier billing as their main method of payment. So China Mobile basically has the most users and the most data points. And this is what they're saying for the casual game market in terms of top downloaded. So this is the second slide, and this is the first slide. I'll just give you like 5 to 10 seconds to see how many games you recognize here. All right, so on the top we have like Subway Surfer, Temple Run 2, Talking Tom Run, Hungry Shark Evolution, Angry Birds Transformers, Stampede Rodeo, and Hill Climb Racing. And next, quick one, Ski Safari, Hill Climb Racing 2, Monument Valley, Minion Rush, and the Chinese Slither.io. The point here is that even on the Android side, it's well represented by global games from the global studios. There are many ways to think about this, and personally I would like to say that quality games just shine through in any market they are. And this is all IAP focused. All the games represented here are IAP focused, and games in China are primarily IAP focused. So they are also making quite a bit of money, not just ad money. Yep. So I'm gonna skip this because it's just saying that casual esports is on the rise. They even have tournaments for casual esports. This is a Chinese version of Agar.io. All right. So we've established that casual game market for Western studios is still plenty room to maneuver. And a lot of studios start thinking about China actually a bit like Walter White, when you suddenly just see a pile of cash lying in front of you. Usually you publish globally, and you check the China box, and in 2 to 3 months, you see that China is your maybe top 5 market, your top 3, or maybe even the best market that you have. And then you start to think about, I'm not even putting any effort in this, and it's the best market. So what happens if I do put some effort into the China market? So you then start looking to the Android market. And Android market in China is still 80 to 85% right now. It's an all-time high. Personally, I think it's going to grow even higher in the future. And Google Play is not there yet. So they mentioned they were going to get into the market last year. And then recent report says this year, soon maybe, soon. So we'll find out enough. But the problem here is what sort of impact will they have when they do enter the market? And are they actually a bit too late to the market? So what I mean is there's actually hundreds of Chinese Android app stores out there. And the top 10 or top 15 of these guys actually covers 90 to 95% of the market. Nobody actually published their own data, so nobody actually knows the true user base of each app store. It's sort of a secret thing that they all have. The incumbent since the beginning is Tencent, Baidu, 360. So when the handset market was still quite fragmented, the online stores came in with their original user base. So Tencent had WeChat, Baidu have their search engine, 360 has a web browser. So they were able to leverage on existing user base to quickly get into the app store market and dominate it for quite some time. However, for the past 2 to 3 years, and even especially in the last year, we have seen like the rise of manufacturer stores. So these are Chinese handset manufacturers: Huawei, Oppo, Vivo, Xiaomi. Not sure how popular they are in the West. But in China, they are pretty much the dominant brand for handsets. So right now, they take about 50% as of Q3 last year, 50%. Recent reports say they're outselling Apple by way, way much. And they have been upping their App Store game. It's investing significant amounts of money into the App Store. So at the beginning, they were just trying to figure out how to dominate the market, the apps, the handsets. And now that they have established sort of skill, that they are looking into how to provide their phone users the best experience. And of course, the best experience means the most content, and hence they invest heavily in their own App Store. So imagine for a new Huawei user, you buy the phone, you get a Huawei App Store, and it has all the content you need. So this will, in effect, negatively impact the market share of third-party app stores. And I think this is a trend that we will see to continue going forward. So if, in any case, you do find yourself in a room with these guys, Oppo, Vivo, Huawei, do take them seriously. And so you decide to get into Android. How much can you actually make in the Android market? So the 40% is actually for a local studio if you are dealing with the app stores and you have to deal with them individually. So let's say you want to cover top 20 as a local studio, you have to talk to them individually for the 20 app stores. The app store take about a 30% cut to 40%. If you're Clash Royale or a bigger game, you could negotiate down and then they'll take like 10, 20%. The stickler here is billing takes another 25 to 30%. So carrier billing takes 30%, and usually even if you use an online payment like Alipay or WeChat, the App Store will bundle it together with their App Store SDK and give you wholesale telling you that their cut is 55 or 60%. So at the end of the day, a local studio is expected to take back 40 to 45%, and Western studio have to share this with also a Chinese publisher. All right. So if you have a game that's already doing well in China, and you would really like to see it stay there on the App Store, one of the things is the regulations. I guess some of you have heard about this news. Winnie the Pooh is censored or banned in China right now for reasons that you can search online. This is recorded. So what I want to say is that the Chinese authorities do take their content regulation really seriously. And what the regulation that came out last year, July, is basically a content regulation. So what they're saying is they want to regulate mobile games just as they regulate movies, books, music, TV series, and make sure these content are safe for consumption for the general public. So games that are extreme violence, so if you have limbs cutting off, blood splashing around, no-go. Immoral games, so games that involves gangs, bribing, stealing from other players, like inducing gamers to steal from other players. If you put suicide as a gameplay, those are definitely not allowed. Politically sensitive topic that covers China, have to tread really carefully, and gambling content is not allowed in China. So these are just 20, these are just a few items on the list of like 20 to 25, and the government do keep this updated quite regularly, so we have to check back with the government on a weekly or monthly basis to make sure that we are complying with the rules. And if you have a game that is out on the App Store, launched after 1st July 2016, that was the original regulation date that came out. you would have to take down the game when you apply for the publication number license. All right, we do have some time. All right, some final interesting company culture stuff. There's about 40,000 game studios in China. That is 3 times the amount of Starbucks in the US. In the West, we have a 9-to-5 working culture. In China, you have a 9-9-6 working culture. So this basically means 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week. And this is just like bare minimum, like a 9-to-5. And so there's a lot of game companies, and there's people working really hard, and also heavily paid to do so. So the bonus structure, I just pulled this from a Chinese Quora, and I validated this with my team in Shanghai, and the numbers sort of checked out. So the team gets a 3% bonus if the game is making 5 million renminbi, that is about 800,000 US, and up to, if the game revenue is 20 million, the team gets 15%. If the game is a profit of 5 million, it's 5%, and 50 million profit, the team gets 30%. So you could think of it almost like the finance era, like in the financial sector, where teams get heavy bonus and they work really hard to make sure they get the most value out of the users in China. And that's it for today. If you have any questions about China, if you want to talk about the regulations, you have games in the App Store, if you have games that are doing well globally and you want to talk about China, feedback about this presentation, just drop me an email. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.